versus Clippers game. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, when I saw the Lakers versus Clippers game, the biggest thing is if you see in a half-court execution set, the Clippers are still a little bit better than the Lakers sometimes in a half-court. They seem to have a little bit more ball handlers. So like guys can actually get into the paint a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And because of that, once they get into the paint, you actually notice that they like to make the extra pass. And that's the one thing that actually gets the Lakers in trouble. Because the Lakers are a good defensive team, and sometimes they have a lot of height for shot blocking.
Yeah.
And when you're playing as a good defensive team, the key is to make the extra pass, get into the seams, make the pass, and get the defense moving. And that's something that the Clippers have in a half-court set. Because they have like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Patrick Beverly.
And they play small ball compared to the Lakers.
They play small ball, and then when they get guys like Lou Williams coming back in too, and then they got that other guy, Reggie Jackson, that came in. All these guys are good ball handlers, and all these can get into the seam of the defense. And once they make that extra pass, then you get the Lakers' defense moving, and that actually takes away the benefit that they have with the size of the shot blocking after that. Mm-hmm. And once you get them scrambling, then that's the thing. With Lakers, their strength when you watch the game is they're really good at converting either a missed shot or a turnover into a really quick, fast break possession. And the Lakers get the ball to the court so fast. Mm-hmm. And that's where their strength is. So I think one way is the Lakers have to be able to run fast break. So they have to be able to defend and run the fast break really well against the Clippers if they face each other in the playoffs. Because in a half-court set, the Clippers are really good defensively in a half-court set. So you don't always want to get stuck in a half-court game against the Clippers. So the key with the Lakers is really, can you play well enough defense and run the fast break well enough? And one of the benefits that they have is also their bigs is they're really good with also actually having a big cut and flash into the paint.
Yeah.
So when the Lakers don't have anything going in the half-court set, then sometimes the bigs like McGee, who actually has a hook shot, and even Davis, they can actually suddenly cut into the paint because LeBron's drawing so much attention. Then you can actually, once you get to that point right in the paint, about 5 feet away, then they can make that quick entry pass to them. And then they can take a quick bunny hook shot. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like a free shot they can take too in the half-court set against the Clippers all the time. But the one problem is the Clippers really want to force Lakers to play small ball. And so one thing about the last game that we saw that was interesting is Kuzma actually showed, I'm normally, like last year, I've always had issue with Kuzma's defense.
Yeah.
I find his defensive IQ is pretty low for the most part. And also his offense, he's a guy that he has like the ability and the talent in terms of the size and in general his ball handling for his size and to actually get jump shots off, tough jump shots off. But the problem with that is that's kind of like a dual-edged sword. It's kind of like when Kobe's playing too. He can get those jump shots off, but are they good shots? And the problem with Kuzma, he's got that same ability where he can take these tough jump shots, but are they good shots? And will they go in? And he has the ability to force the issue, but should you be forcing the issue?
Yeah.
And sometimes he's trying to force the issue too much, and he's not taking his time and letting the game come to him. And that's something where Kuzma really has to learn how to develop that part of his game, the basketball IQ and the patience. But young players normally, with some talent, young players are normally a lot more less patient on the court. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, instead, I like to see what he would do. Like, for example, last game against the Clippers, first half, he was trying to force the issue again. So he was trying to get his own shots off and he was missing most of his shots. And he was making pretty poor decisions on the offense. But in the second half, he kind of toned it down. And he focused more in the second half on playing defense, getting rebounds, and actually just making a pass. And after that, the Lakers played a lot better. Because Kuzma actually showed in the second half that he actually has the size and the foot quickness to actually stay in front of guys like PG, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of possessions either off of a switch or just straight up he was guarding Kawhi Leonard and Leonard couldn't get past him. And he has the length to actually to give some space to Leonard so Leonard can't drive past him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's got the length to actually just suddenly react to the jump shot and actually force Leonard to shoot over him. And Leonard wasn't able to score over him. And Paul George was the same thing. So that's one thing that I saw that I liked in the matchup with Lakers and Clippers last time. That's something they might be able to use in a small ball situation. And that really helps because LeBron also proved that he can actually guard Kawhi Leonard. LeBron also showed flashes of being able to guard both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George throughout that. He actually showed it last time before the lockout. Before the lockout, LeBron actually showed that ability too. So now if you found Kuzma, who can also do the same thing, that's huge. Now you get two guys. One can lock down Kawhi, one can lock down Paul George. And that's really big. And the one thing is what they have to just... If you guard Kawhi, you got to realize the guy's actually not the most athletic guy, but he's quite skilled, pretty good ball handling. He's kind of shifty. And he's deceptively, you get surprised by some of the moves that he does. But the key about him is he lives off of pump fakes. So the thing about Kawhi is the way to guard him, the key is to not bite on his pump fakes.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in front of him. Don't bite on his pump fakes. Stay down. Keep your arms up. Make him shoot over you.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few times when like AD, for example, is a great defender, but sometimes he has a big problem where he tends to overreact in the perimeter. And he tries to block a lot of jump shots in the perimeter, but that's what gets him in trouble. So there's quite a few times when the Clippers they had the Clippers exactly where they wanted them. They were down on the shot clock. There's only a few seconds left. Mm-hmm. The guard had to shoot it. AD was right in front of him, but AD actually bit on the pump fake and tried to block the shot. But because of that, the guard jumped into him for a foul.
Mm-hmm.
But if AD just stayed there, then that guard would have had to shoot over a 7-foot guy. And it's probably going to be a miss. So if AD can actually be a bit more patient, stay down on defensive perimeter and not bite on the pump fakes, whether against the guards or against Kawhi Leonard, and if the primary defenders on Kawhi Leonard doesn't bite on the pump fakes and just stay in front of him, easier said than done, but try to stay in front of him, and then once he really is taking a shot, then try to raise the arms and challenge it. Force him to take the jump shot over the outstretched arms. Force him to take a challenge jump shot. If he makes it, all right, good shot. But you can live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you can't live with is biting on his pump fakes and putting him on a free throw line, because he lives off of that stuff. So if the Lakers can be more disciplined on how to guard Kawhi that way, I think both LeBron and Kuzma showed that they can actually do it. Danny Green's a pretty good defender, but in terms of size-wise, sometimes Kawhi, if he really has to, can still take a step back and a jumper over Danny Green. But he has a tough time doing that against LeBron and also Kuzma. So these are some of the things, some takeaways I saw during the last game. So it'll be interesting.
It's going to be tough for like a 7-game series. I think it's going to be pretty close, right? Because like you said, they didn't have Lou Williams, and they still only won by 2.
Yeah.
Right. Last second, shot by LeBron, but
exactly.
Yeah. But still, it's close, right?
That's the thing. It was so close. If you watch the game, no Lou Williams and no Harrell.
Yeah.
And they barely won the game. LeBron had an off game, so if LeBron had a good game, throw out another 10 points, into the score. But Lou Williams is easily another 15 points at least, if not more. Maybe even 20 points sometimes. And the other thing is Harrell was actually a better matchup against AD than any of the other bigs, that they have, that the Clippers have. Because that last game, if you put Morris on AD, Morris just isn't athletic or big enough to guard AD. But if you put the other bigs on AD, AD's too quick for them on the perimeter. So Harrell was actually the perfect matchup for AD. So AD actually might have a slightly tougher time if they face each other in the playoffs if Harrell was actually doing guarding him, because Harrell was kind of at that sweet spot in terms of the size and the rough quickness to actually be able to guard him a little bit outside and inside. So that would actually make a pretty big difference as well, along with Lou Williams next game. So what I would like to see is the Lakers actually improving their half-court execution, because I think their half-court execution should still be a little bit better. They're relying too much on tough shots. And at the same time, they're not making the Clippers' defense move enough sometimes. And they're relying too much on one-on-one.
Do you think that Doc Rivers is a better coach than Frank Vogel?
I think they're pretty close. Honestly, both of them are really good coaches.
Yeah.
I think Doc Rivers and Vogel. I think Vogel's probably one of the best coaches LeBron's ever had in the NBA. So
maybe the best.
Yeah, maybe the best. I like Vogel quite a bit. So that's why I like the way. One example was traditionally all LeBron teams before, even his championship teams, they always had a really big problem. They had a really big problem was they like to play a box one offense with LeBron all the time. So they always play a box one offense of 1-2-2, where LeBron gets the ball at the top, the 3-point land. And the problem with that is LeBron, back then in those other teams, they would waste so much time on the shot clock. He would just dribble the time away in the shot clock until there's only 8 seconds left. And then they finally make the move. They finally make the play. But the problem is, you're wasting so much time for no reason before you start executing your offense. By the time LeBron gets that pick, gets in the paint, there's only a few seconds left. He has to either go and score or make that pass. But if there's nothing there, and if he makes that pass, that guy's still covered. That guy's forced to take a tough shot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why traditionally LeBron's teams always had issues with that. But under Vogel this year, finally they're executing a lot faster. And they're making the decisions a lot faster. So at least they're getting into the offense a lot faster compared to old LeBron teams. Mm-hmm. And that's already huge. Because, for example, if you get into the offense faster, After the first initial play, LeBron makes a pass. If there's nothing there, there's still plenty of time to make an extra pass after that to try to look for a better shot. But I would like to see the Lakers still get better in their half-court execution. I think they're not taking advantage of their size well enough. AD has proven that he's a guy that can get you because he's so skilled and all around. The guy's kind of like a jack of all trades where he can get you 25 to 30 points easy in the game because he can hit the three, he can hit the mid-range.
Yeah, he's the most versatile big man right now.
Exactly. He can hit the three, mid-range, he can run the break with you, he can post up a little bit.
And he doesn't even need, like you have Dwight Howard as well, who's the best in the paint, and he doesn't have as much range as AD. Mm-hmm. So you have AD can do everything else. Mm-hmm. Dwight Howard, who's still pretty good at defense, right? Mm-hmm. Right? He can be mostly in the interior. So. But
they have the size. They have the length. I mean, you got McGee as well, and McGee actually has another dimension on offense that Howard doesn't even have because McGee has a slight funny hook shot. Mm-hmm. So if McGee catches the ball, McGee can obviously be a lob threat just like Dwight Howard is, but McGee also has a little more of a footwork and a dribble, where even if McGee catches the ball a little bit away from the basket, he can still make an extra dribble and extra step with his footwork and get himself realigned in a position to actually dunk the basketball. That's something that Howard doesn't completely have. So Howard really needs to catch the ball either on a lob or right beside the basket. Mm-hmm. If he's just a couple of feet away, then it's a little bit tougher for the guy sometimes. AD is obviously, when you play pick and roll with AD, because the guy can shoot the three, can dribble, can penetrate, can make a pass, he can shoot the mid-range, he can post up. So between LeBron and AD playing the pick and roll, one really interesting thing is the passing, the range where LeBron can make that pass over to AD after the pick is so big when you're playing AD. LeBron can make a really quick pass even to AD when he's still at the three-point line because AD can shoot the three and he can drive in and then make the extra pass and make the play. And you can also pass it to him as a lob threat, everything. And that makes him pretty dangerous as a pick-and-roll combo. But the one thing is AD's game naturally is he's talented enough to give you 25, 30 points a game offensively, but he hasn't proven that his offense is also dominant enough that you can run the offense through AD and actually win a championship. So, for example, in tough games sometimes, like the last game against the Clippers, I find AD, my problem was he's so talented that he can give you 38, 40 points just like that. Yeah. But at the same time, not all those points were dominant points. They weren't points where it's forcing the other team to double team the guy. It was just he's so talented.
They're not Shaq points.
Yeah, they're not Shaq points like I always talk about, right? Yeah, or not Duncan points or Shaq points. They're actually points where the guy's just so talented, so versatile that he can just get that three-point anytime he wants, mid-range jump shot anytime he wants, and just all that just adds up, and he gets so many free throws. And so all that just adds up to easily 25, 30, 35 points for the guy. But it's not dominant points sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that's where LeBron's going to have to step up. Because I don't think AD has that natural alpha in it. AD's game isn't a natural alpha. He's just a supremely talented, really athletic guy that can just fill in the spots everywhere. But I think AD actually needs an alpha. So a guy that can actually be the front runner, like the true go-to guy of the team. And that's where LeBron comes in. So what I see between these two teams is obviously I hope the Lakers improve the half-court offense. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, LeBron really...
Is LeBron still the go-to guy, or does he want to be more of a Magic Johnson right now?
It's a good question. I think LeBron has to actually, at some points against the Clippers, against tough competition, at some points he's going to have to still be a Jordan. He can actually, for most of the game, 60% of the time, 70% of the time, he can try to be Magic. Yeah. But because AD, I think, is not a natural alpha, what AD is going to give you. AD can give you 25, 30, 13 rebounds, 3 or 4 blocks, 5 or 6 assists easily in any game, even in the playoffs. And that's proven to be good enough probably for the Lakers to stay close against any competition. So those points from AD, which aren't exactly dominant points, but he's so talented that he will give you those stats, that's good enough to put you within range to win any game. So when you're playing the Clippers, that's probably good enough to put you in punching range. But the series is going to be it's going to be for LeBron for the taking. So LeBron has to, AD can get you close, but LeBron has to be the guy in tough situations to be the alpha. So there's some points when the team doesn't have it. LeBron's actually the guy that's going to have to take that tough shot. He's going to have to create something out of nothing. So LeBron's going to be mindful of that.
Yep.
Like I know LeBron's unselfish, and I'm pretty sure he'll be perfectly happy being a total Magic Johnson and winning a championship. But I think the team is still going to need him to be an alpha, like at certain moments in the playoffs when you're playing the Clippers, because AD is going to give you the 30 points, 13 rebounds, sure, but that's not necessarily good enough.
Maybe this needs to be like a LeBron being Magic, AD being Kareem kind of thing.
That's the thing, though. I don't know if AD is good enough to be Kareem at the moment. He's never been a guy that you can run the offense through and be a championship contender. So I view him more as a supremely talented second superstar. That can give you monster stats.
But that was Kareem, like the second half of his career, right?
But he's still a guy that you can run the offense through. That's the key. Like if you actually saw during the season, the first game, LeBron was trying to be really unselfish, and LeBron tried to actually run the offense through AD in the very first game of the season. It didn't work out very well. They dug themselves a hole because AD in the post, he's talented enough to get any shot he wants, but whether it's a good shot, whether it goes in, it's hit and miss. You don't know. He can get that turnaround shot in the post anytime, but is that a good shot? Not necessarily. Because AD's release, great form, elbows in, but his release is a little bit slow. So defense has enough time to react to his turnaround jump shot all the time. So he ends up taking a tough turnaround jump shot every time. That's not good enough. With Kareem, though, even though like sometimes you have some years, you have James Worthy actually leading the team, in scoring.
Yeah.
But Kareem is still the anchor that you can run the offense through. Yeah. And actually, after that, work it through the guy. AD is not necessarily a guy you can work it through him and actually get a championship offense out of him. LeBron's the guy that you can work it through him and get a championship offense. And that's why AD with those like side stats of 30, 13, 4 blocks, whatever, it'll help you get close. But LeBron has to be the alpha once in a while to be the guy that actually puts him over the hump, the guy that actually takes that game, takes that series. LeBron's going to have to do that still.
Right.
Yeah. So this is one of the best teams that LeBron's had in a long time.
Yeah. And I think AD is like the best teammate because when he got Wade was kind of in the tail end of his prime. Mm-hmm. I don't consider Bosh, Kyrie, or Love as talented as AD. So I think it's in his prime because he has AD in his prime. That's what's special, and he has the best coach probably of his career. Yeah. So
I think.
So I think it's probably one of the best teams of LeBron's career. Actually,
I think so. Yeah. Like this is some of the best stuff LeBron's ever had. I mean, he's got so much size to work with now.
He finally has a good coach, a good second superstar, right?
And he's got so much size, and he's still got good perimeter defenders on his team. Yeah. Back in the day, if you watch with Miami, the one thing was Wade and LeBron, when Wade was still physically healthy, Wade and LeBron was devastating on defense and on the boards. So like they were almost like Jordan and Pippen defensively. Yeah. They were two of the wing defenders that I've seen. They can actually block a lot of shots, play really big, get a lot of rebounds. They were getting more rebounds than Bosh was, both of them. So that was special. However, the one problem was Wade's game offensively. It doesn't really pair very well with LeBron. Wade's not a very good shooter. And so everything Wade can do on offense, LeBron can do but better. So it makes
because they're both slashers. Like they're driver to the basket.
Exactly.
Players.
Yeah, exactly. And LeBron's a better shooter than Wade is by far, especially in the 3-point range. So the problem is, and also LeBron's a much better passer than Wade is. So the ball should be in LeBron's hands in a half-court set if you want to win a championship. Yeah. It shouldn't be in Wade's hands most of the time. But the problem now is Wade's not a good shooter. So when LeBron's getting double-teamed, Wade can't relieve the pressure by hitting that shot. And that's where they don't pair very well offensively. Yeah. And that's why, like, defensively, Miami was always an elite team defensively. But the problem was offensively, they always had problems in their half-court execution. And they also always got into their sets a little bit too late all the time. And the offense was way too simplistic. Their half-court offense was actually pretty bad back in Miami. It was mainly because of the talent of LeBron. And also Wade, too, when he was healthy. And also the defense.
Yeah, Ray Allen is prime, right? That would be good.
Oh, yeah, well, that's something else. But the thing is, but defensively, though, it was the bread and butter was defense back then. So Kyrie is interesting, too. Kyrie, I think, offensively, is arguably one of his best teammates, but he doesn't have the defense. So that's why AD's kind of both. AD's a great defender, but all around he's a very good offensive player. But Kyrie, at points, has proven that he can be really dominant offensively. Mm-hmm. I mean, a guy in the finals that can give you back-to-back 40-point games, when you really need it in the finals, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at, right? So I think Kyrie, in some aspects, is actually even more dominant offensively compared to AD, but he doesn't have the defense and the rebounding, the overall game that AD has. And also the fact that LeBron just pairs really well with AD because you You have a perimeter player
Mm-hmm.
and you have a big man. And because of that, they can actually run plays together. Because even with like LeBron and Kyrie, offensively, Kyrie actually pairs better with LeBron than Wade did already. Because Kyrie can shoot. So either of them is double teamed, or if they draw like the attention.
That's the thing people don't understand. Is like, okay, Wade was an overall better player than Kyrie, but in the offensive system, like Kyrie was maybe a better fit.
Exactly. And that's remember when we did that video back then, we were talking about like the top five our top five starting lineup for decades.
Uh-huh.
And then I had a choice with LeBron and all those other guys, but then it came down to between Kobe and Wade.
Yeah.
And then I ended up taking Kobe.
You took Kobe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for me, if I was a GM and I was choosing a franchise player, I might actually take Wade as a franchise player, because Wade has proven in the playoffs that he can come up with big games. More so in my opinion.
Wade in his prime, yeah. I think the problem with Wade was injuries.
Yeah. But he has proven
he wasn't as durable as Kobe was.
Yeah. But he has at least proven that at his best, he actually came up with bigger games than Kobe had.
Yeah.
However,
2006 finals for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, but at the same time, when we're choosing our top five of the decade, I already have a stacked team. A stacked team of guys who can actually create their own shots on LeBron and everybody else. I don't need another guy like that.
Right. 2001 Kobe was probably the right choice for that. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to choose the Shaq version of Kobe. The one that's willing to play more defense, and he's still an okay shooter, at least a better shooter than Wade ever was. So that's why I think he pairs better, because he can hit the three. So he forces defenses to go on him. So it gives more space for all the other guys to do stuff. Yeah. And that's the reson why I chose him.
And that was probably also the best passing version of Kobe too.
Much more willing passer anyway. Yeah, exactly. So, you have a guy who can play some defense, he can give the ball a little bit, and he can hit the three-point shot. And that's why I think he'll pair better with an all-star team. Yeah, whereas Wade would be a guy that only plays the mid-range, he can't shoot the three. So it's good if he's my only star, that's great. Yeah. But then when I already have other stars that can do that stuff, and then he can't actually, relieve the pressure by hitting the three, that's where there's an issue when you're playing with a stack team. So like with AD and LeBron, this is definitely one of obviously the best pairings that LeBron's ever had, because you have a guy that can play big, play defense, and matches up really well with LeBron on the perimeter and matches up with his passing skills. They can actually execute and run the same play together. They can actually play a pick and roll game together. Whereas with Kyrie and LeBron, traditionally, even in the Cavs, they were taking turns playing one-on-one too much still. So there still wasn't that perfect synergy between Kyrie and LeBron. But AD and LeBron is your perfect combination of a big and inside guy. But LeBron just has to realize that AD is a great player. But when it comes down to clutch time and being the alpha, LeBron's still going to have to take it for him to have a chance to win a championship. He's going to have to step up at tough spots offensively. And he finally came through at the end of the last game against the Clippers. And I mean, he hit two tough shots. He hit two clutch shots and played some tough defense at the end. He was actually the guy who actually took the game. And if LeBron can just do that throughout the fourth quarter and throughout the games at pivotal points a bit more, then they got a shot to beat the Clippers. Right. And if they can improve that half-court offense a bit more. And cut down on those turnovers too. Yeah, that's the other issue. So cut down your turnovers, because when you're giving away those turnovers, you're giving them too much fast break points. And at the same time, when you're playing against a Clippers team, good possessions are hard to come by already. So you can't give it up. And if you can't get the shot up, you have the natural size advantage against these guys. So if you're committing turnovers and not getting the shot up to the rim, you're actually taking away your advantage. Because if you can at least just not commit the turnover and put that shot up to the rim, you have big guys that can rebound the ball for you. So you might potentially get garbage baskets from Dwight Howard, McGee, and AD. But if you can't even do that and you commit a turnover and then you just give them back the ball, then you're not taking advantage of your size anymore for offensive rebounds. So that's really important, is to protect the basketball and not to turn it over. And after that, because right now your half-court offense isn't quite as good as the other team, because the other team has more ball handlers and they can get into the seam and they get your defense moving after the extra pass. And also the other team, their two stars are really good shooters. They have actually overall probably better shooters than the other team. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Ray Jackson, Patrick Beverley Williams, all these guys can shoot really well. So in a half-court set, when they can slash in a bit more to get your defense moving and they have better shooters all around, that makes them a bit more dangerous in the half-court. So the Lakers have to be able to play D and run. So play D and go on that fast break quick, so you don't let the Clippers' tough half-court defense set up on you. Mm-hmm. So once you play on the execution under break, then you don't have to face the pressure of their half-court defense all the time. So that's one. But if you're stuck in that half-court set, improve your half-court set, because The Lakers are really willing to pass the ball. That's one thing I noticed. Their team's very unselfish.
Yep.
But the problem is sometimes people aren't cutting enough. And when they're passing the ball to the perimeter, they're still passing it around the three-point area, and at the end, you're still stuck outside. And then you're still stuck with a guy in front of you. You're taking a tough three-point shot. So when you're making 4 or 5 passes before you shoot, which the Lakers are willing to do, I'm expecting a better shot than a contested three-point shot or contested two-point shot. When you're passing around 4 times, I want people to cut. I want people to go post up, or get a pick and get a mismatch. So if you're a willing passing team, what I want to see at the end of the possession is either an open jump shot or any type of open shot, a layup, a dunk, a foul for free throws, or a mismatch. These are the 5 things I want to see if you're willing to actually make the extra pass, because that's what you're passing the ball for. You're trying to pass the ball to get a better shot, to get a better shot than the one you already have. But if you're passing it around 4 or 5 times and you're still stuck on a perimeter with a defender in front of you, you're just wasting the shot clock, right?
Right.
And so I want to just see better half-court execution from the Lakers. And at the same time, protect the ball a little bit more. Less turnovers, at least get the shot up to the rim so your big man can offensive rebound. And in LeBron's case, just hopefully LeBron, his timing's going to come back, and he's going to learn that, you know what, 80 is going to give you so much. 80 will give you a consistent 30, 13, 4, 6. But LeBron's going to have to be the guy who takes the series. And
he needs to be the closer, right?
Exactly. He's got to be a closer. And at certain points, don't even wait for the fourth quarter. Sometimes, like, LeBron is so dominant that if he actually steps up and just becomes an alpha during the second and third quarters, he's already giving his team a 10, 15-point lead to alleviate the pressure. So don't always dig yourself a hole. Like, I know LeBron really wants to get his teammates involved early in the game. Yeah. So he gives them a bit of a rhythm because he knows that near the end of the game, he's going to need his guys.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to balance that out. With certain points, you should just flat out dominate even earlier in the game. So that way you don't dig yourself into a hole all the time. Sometimes I think LeBron, in the first 3 quarters, he's not always dominant because he wants to pass the ball around. But when he does that, sometimes it helps. But sometimes you're digging yourself a hole because sometimes some games your teammates don't have it. And because you're still passing it around, you're digging yourself a hole. The game's either too close or you're down by 5-10 points already. And then suddenly LeBron has to step up big time and then get themselves back into the game at the fourth quarter, and that takes a lot out of you. So it's just a balancing game with LeBron. Know when to pass, not just know when to score, but know when to be dominant. Yeah. And then let AD work off of that. I noticed AD actually plays a lot better when there's another player that's being dominant to take more pressure off of AD. And then AD is so physically talented that he can just fill in the seams after that. You have a guy that's you have another superstar like LeBron being dominant, drawing all the attention from AD. And even if he misses, AD is so athletic that all he has to do is roll to the basket and grab your miss and get a garbage basket. I've noticed that AD is actually a lot better when he's able to work off of another dominant superstar. And so LeBron's going to have to know that he's going to have to be the alpha dominant guy, especially against a team like the Clippers. Yeah. So these are the things I saw from the last game.
Cool. It's good. Good summary. Let's just make sure that